Hey guys, Crystal here at Crystal's Crafties. Today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to fill doodle letters. We're going to do two different methods. The first one would be if your doodle letters are SVG, and the second would be if your doodle letters are PNG. Now, no matter whether you've purchased SVG or PNG doodle letters, they're all going to be blank, and you're going to need to fill your doodle letters. What we're going to do that with is a program called Inkscape. Inkscape is 100% free to use. You just download it onto your computer, and I'm going to link to a video that will show you how to download and set up Inkscape, and I will have the video link in the description as well so you can see how to get that started. Okay, so what do we use to fill doodle letters? We use digital paper. Now keep watching because later on in the video I'm going to show you how to find the perfect digital paper for your doodle letters, and I'll show you how to get that digital paper for just $1. But to begin with, I'm going to bring in the digital papers that I have already used for this little graphic. So let's start by bringing in the digital paper. Once you have Inkscape opened up and you've got your new document started, you're going to come to File and Import. And then you will go find wherever you have saved your digital paper. And again, later on, I'm going to show you where I got all this. I have mine saved in a folder on my desktop. And so let's see, for this one, I think I did this one, and you have to bring them in one at a time. I know that's huge. We're going to resize that in a minute. And I did this one. And I did, let's see, this one. Okay, so I just double clicked on those to bring them into my project. Now, because these are humongous files, we're going to have to shrink them down. The way we're going to do that is by shrinking our screen first of all. So literally just hitting the minus key on my keyboard will shrink my screen down and make it smaller so that these papers are more manageable. Now with my screen locked, when you first open a project, it will probably not be locked. You will have to click this lock button. With your screen locked, you can literally just drag these until they are smaller. And that's what we want to do. Okay, let me make this one a little bit smaller as well. Now they're all smaller. I'm going to use my mouse and drag a box around all three of them and put them onto my white work area so that I can see what I've got going on here. And now I'm going to make my screen bigger again so that I can see what I'm doing. To make it bigger, you just hit the plus sign on your keyboard. That's really one of the things I love about Inkscape is you can just very easily reduce and increase your screen size. You can also do it from right here, guys. That'll do it too. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this graphic that I created and we're going to recreate it. So selected that, hit backspace. I'm going to move my papers off to the side. I'm going to use them later on to fill the letters. And now that I have my papers brought in, I'm going to bring in my doodle letters. And like I said, the first method we're going to do is how to fill doodle letters if they are SVG. So File, Import again, and now I'm going to go get my doodle letters. I have them saved into a different folder. Okay, these are the ones I want to use. I have double clicked to bring this file into my design. Now yours might not look like this. It's really going to depend on what doodle letters you have purchased or if you have created your own doodle letters. And if you want to do that, I have another video that will show you how to create your own doodle letters. I will link it here, and I'll also put the link in the description so you can check out how to make your own doodle letters if you want to. Okay. So again, I'm going to shrink my screen down because this file is really big so that I can see the whole file I'm working with here. And I'm just going to kind of move it down here so it's not overlapping my paper. Now, what I want is just the letters that I need to make the word I want to make. If you are making the word boo, say for Halloween, you're making Halloween doodle letters, you're only going to want the B and the O. You don't need anything else. So let's start deleting the things that we don't need. If your file comes with each letter individual, you just pull in the letters that you need. It just so happens that the file I purchased, it's all grouped in together. So I'm going to have to separate it out and delete what I don't need. It's grouped together. I need to ungroup it. Come to Object, Ungroup, and now you'll see that the black part can separate from the red part. So I'm going to start with the red part, and I'm just going to delete what I don't need. It's grouped together still, so I need to ungroup it even further. Object, Ungroup, and now you see how there's a box around every element here. That's completely ungrouped. I can just drag, hit the backspace and get rid of all of that. I can drag, hit the backspace and get rid of all of that. I don't need that. Okay, now I just have what I need to make the word doodle. I'm going to do the same thing with this file here. I'm going to ungroup it. So I could go to Object, Ungroup, but I can also hit Control-Shift-G, and it will ungroup all of that for me without having to come around up here. Okay, so again, drag a box around all of that and delete it. Drag a box around all of this, delete it. I don't need any of that. Oops, I deleted the D instead of the C. I'm going to hit Control-Z and go back until I get my D now. Okay, so I have D, L, and O here again. If I drag a box around all of these, I can move them down here. Okay, and I've got my letters now. So I'm going to group these two together, Control-G. Group these two together, Control-G. Group these two together, Control-G. Now I can make my word. D, O, I need another O. I can right-click, duplicate, and I got another O. I need another D. I could right-click again, or I could hit Control-D. If you're on a Mac, it would be Command-D. Did I not keep the E? Okay. I'm going to have to go back in, do that whole process again, and get my E. I'll speed it up, though, so you don't have to watch me do all of that. Okay, now I have my E. Make sure you get all of your letters before you delete anything that you don't need. Okay, it's time to fill these. So, I have grouped this D together, but I'm going to ungroup it now so I can fill it with my digital paper. So, Control-Shift-G will ungroup. Let's bring this red portion over to our work area. And let's pick the pattern that we want to fill it with. Let's start with maybe this pink striped paper. So I'm just going to enlarge it so it's big enough for the whole D. Okay. Now I'm going to drag a box around the D and the digital paper so that they are both selected. And I'm going to go to Object, Clip, Set. And the D is now filled with the pattern. I move this guy back up. Those are ready to go. The O, let's come put it over here. I'm going to ungroup it, Control-Shift-G, and I'm just going to turn this a different color. Let's pick like this purple here. Okay. Or you could fill it with a pattern as well, but I like to leave some solid letters in there also. Now we need the other O. Let's ungroup, take our red portion, and let's put it on this paper. Paper needs to be a little bit bigger. And I'm just using the handles to drag to make the paper big enough so that the O fits onto it. Again, I will drag a box around both of those so they are both highlighted. Come to Object, Clip, Set Clip. My O is now filled. All right, let's get the other D. ungroup, Control-Shift-G. We're only filling this red part. There we go. Let's turn it like a pinkish color maybe. Not that pink. That pink will be fine. Now let's get the L, bring it up here, and ungroup. And we'll fill the red part again with a digital paper. So bring it over here, place it on top of our digital paper. If your digital paper happens to be on top of your doodle letters, which should not happen if you bring your digital paper in first, but if you forget and you bring your letters in first and your digital paper in second, it'll be on top. You'll use these arrows to lower it. So if your digital paper is on top of your doodle letter, you're going to hit this arrow that says you're going to move this all the way to the bottom. Select your digital paper, move it all the way to the bottom, and then you'll be able to see what you're doing. Okay, so select both of these, object, clip, set clip, there is my L, go and put it in there. And also, if you have done this backwards, if you have put your digital papers in after your doodle letters, it's going to look like this. Hold on. Your outline will be behind your letter. So make sure that you're bringing in your digital paper first and then your doodle letters. But if you get it backwards, you can always just use these arrows and rearrange your layers so that the outlines are on top and the filled letters are on the bottom. Okay, let's get the E. Okay, ungroup. And let's see, let's make this E like a bluish color. I'm scrolling through here to find the colors. And again, in that video that I have linked, it will show you how to set up Inkscape so that you can get access to all of this too. No, not that blue. Definitely not that blue. That's fine. I'm not going for perfect here. Okay, and I've placed that inside of the E. Now we want to really line up the inner layers so that everything fits perfectly together. Sometimes it's a little hard to see. What you might want to do is click that square over there and just draw you a big old square. Then come back up here, click your arrow, and move your square to the bottom. Now if I blow up the screen, I can see that this D needs to be moved. So I've clicked it, and I'm just moving it around. This L needs to be moved a little. I've clicked it, and I'm moving it around. Let's see, this O, clicked it, moving it around. This O, and you see me moving my screen from side to side. I am literally holding down Control and my right mouse key and just pulling my mouse to wherever I want my screen to be. So I'm going to go all the way over to the right now. I'm going to hold Control, hold down the right mouse key, and drag my mouse to where I'm all the way over here. Okay. Okay, make it smaller again, hit that minus sign, delete this blue box. Group each letter together. You can drag the box around it, Control-G, and it will group those two together. Or you can hold Alt and drag a line, and it will group everything that you have just dragged together. Group. And from here, you simply arrange your word however you want it. When you're all done, group it all together, and you've got your SVG doodle letters filled. Let's do the same thing if we have PNG doodle letters. I'm going to delete that. Again, we're going to bring in our digital paper first. Import. Let's go back and get our digital paper. Okay, we're going to bring in our digital paper first. So File, Import, and go to wherever you have saved your digital paper on your computer. Mine's on my desktop in a folder labeled Digital Paper. Okay, we're going to bring in our digital papers one at a time. I used this one, so I have selected it. Hit Open, File, Import. I used that one. And File, Import, and I used this one. Okay, our digital papers are now in our project. Let's make them smaller so that we can see everything we're working with. Okay, and now we need to bring in our PNG doodle letters. So just go to wherever you have saved your doodle letters. And here is my PNG file. These are saved individual, so I'll need to bring in each letter that I want. So I need a D, O, L, and an E. Okay. Let's duplicate the D. So I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate, or you can right click and duplicate as well. So I have a D and I have an O. These are hard to grab when they are PNG files. You have to click where there is solid color. I need another O, so I'm going to duplicate, Control D. Okay, here is my other D and my L and my last E down here. So here's how my word is going to look, and now I just need to fill the letters with the paper. These are PNG files. This is an image, and Inkscape does not know how to fill an image. It can only fill a vector file or an SVG file. So we're going to need to convert each of these into an SVG file. To do that, select your letter, come to Path, Trace Bitmap. It's going to pull up, Path, Trace Bitmap. It's going to pull up a menu for you over here. There's a lot going on in this menu. You don't need to worry about anything else except for what I'm telling you to put here. You want to hit Auto Trace for your first thing and leave it alone. Don't mess with any multicolor, don't mess with pixel art, don't change any of the settings here, just single scan, auto trace, apply. So now you have duplicated your PNG D to an SVG or a vector D, and you can see the difference down here. I have this selected and it says it's a path. If I select this, it says it's an image. Let's do that for each of these letters. Select this one. Everything is already all set up for you here, so just hit apply and then bring it down. We can just duplicate this since that's the same letter. And we can duplicate this since we've already done it once. And I'm just hitting Control D to duplicate these. L, let's select it, apply, bring our new one down here. And you won't see these pop up. It's just that after you hit apply, it'll do it for you and it'll place it right on top of what you told it to apply this scan to. E, apply, and move it down. Now this is what we're going to fill with the pattern, but it's still not quite ready to fill. There's still a few more steps we need to take if we have to fill PNG doodle letters. Okay, so if I were just to try to fill this letter, if I were to take, let's say, this piece of paper here, I'm going to duplicate it so I don't lose what I've got. And I were to fill this letter. To fill it, we're going to place it on top of the paper, come to Object, Clip, Set Clip. Let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see everything. It only fills the outline. That's not what we're going for. I hit Control Z to get rid of what I just did there. We have to first give it this inner layer to fill. I'm going to click this out so that I have more room so you can really see what we're doing here. So you'll notice that I've made my screen larger or smaller. I'm just hitting the plus and minus key on my keyboard to enlarge the size of my screen. Okay, here's my D. I need to give it an inner portion to fill. To do this, I've got it selected, come to Path, Break Apart. Okay, there's a lot that just happened. It broke every single part of this apart. And we don't need everything. Drag your first thing over. This is going to be the biggest layer and you don't need it. Click your next biggest layer. Change it a different color so you can just see what you're doing. Okay, awesome. That's the part that we are going to fill with a pattern. But you'll notice the inner part of the D is no longer there. We need to get that back. You're going to move this layer down to where you can see the inner part. So just click this here. It's going to lower one section at a time until you can see that inner part pop up. That's what we needed. Okay, we're going to remove this inner part from the D. I know this sounds complicated, but just follow these steps along with me and we're going to do it several times until you really get the hang of it. So I've got this, I've selected it. I'm going to hold Shift, select my blue that I just made. I'm going to come to Path, Difference. And now the inside of that D is sliced out. And if I place it up here, it's going to go perfectly inside this D. I don't need anything else. Let's do the O. Select it. Path, Break Apart, take this first big thing off, delete it. Take this next one, turn it a different color, and lower it down until you can see this behind it. Select this, select the color, Path, Difference. Move your O up here. Delete everything else. To delete it, I'm just dragging a box around it and hitting backspace. Now, we've already done this once. We don't need to do it again. Control Duplicate. Same thing with the D. We've already done it once. We don't need to do it again. Duplicate. So actually, we can get rid of these. Let's do the L. So down here on our vector file that we've created, the one that says Path, if we're trying to do it on our PNG, it's not going to work. Path, Break Apart, move the first one off, you don't need it. Now this one, there's nothing to delete. There's no inner portion. So we just take this thing right here, turn it a different color so we can see it, put it up in here. That one's really easy. And then delete all of this other stuff we don't need. And let's do the E. Path, Break Apart, take out that first thing that we don't need, turn this a different color, and lower it down. Just keep hitting that lower button until you see this thing pop up in there. Now you're going to select that inner portion, hold Shift, select the E that you just made, Path, Difference, and it slices the E out for you, or it slices that inner portion out for you. And we can get rid of all this. Now we can start to fill our doodle letters with these patterns with this digital paper. Okay, I'm just hitting the minus key on my keyboard to make everything smaller here. I'm going to start with this pattern. Make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to take this D that I just had and place it in here and just size this paper around the D. Now, if you didn't import your paper first, if you imported your doodle letters first, it's going to look like this. And you're like, where's my letter? That's okay. Just click your paper, lower it all the way to the bottom, and then you'll see your D. That is why it's important to upload your digital papers first and then your doodle letters, because Inkscape works in layers. And if you do it this way, everything is layered the way we want it to be. Okay, I've got my paper selected. I'm going to hold Shift and select my D. And then I'm going to come to Object, Clip, Set Clip. There's my D. This O, I'm going to make a different color. I'm going to make it like a purpley color. Let's see. Let's make it this color. Okay. This O, I'm going to fill with, where's my other digital paper? There it is, with this paper. So make it big enough. Select them both, and I could drag a box around them. I could hold one, hold Shift, hold the other, or I can hold the Alt key and just drag a line and it will select everything. Object, Clip, Set. There's that O. This one I'm going to turn a pinkish color. This L will now be done in this pattern, so let me bring it over here. Just making everything where y'all can see it. Gonna size the digital paper around the L. Position it where I think it will look best. Object, Clip, Set. There's my L. And my E, I'm going to turn a bluish color. And again, if you watch that video for how to set up Inkscape, how to download and set it up, it'll show you how I'm getting all of these colors down here. Okay, that's what we're going to go with. All right, now we just really need to line up the middle parts of our O's so that nothing is overlapping and everything looks good. Grab this square here and drag you in a big old square. Click your arrow, your selector, put the square on the bottom, enlarge your screen, and start placing your pattern fills that you just did so that they line up perfectly with your doodle outlines. I believe that one's on top. No? Okay. Okay, I'm hitting the minus key to reduce the size of my screen. I'm going to delete that square that I just put in, and I'm going to group each of these together so that they do not come apart. Again, I'm drawing my line through, holding the Alt, and then I'm hitting Control G to group. Okay, let's place our word where we want it. D, O, O, D, L, E. I don't really like the colors here. I want to change this E to be this pink. And then I want this D to be that bluish color. All right, that looks a little bit better in my mind. Okay, once you have everything where you want it, drag a box around everything, group it all together, Control G or Object, Group. And now it is time to save your word. You have made your doodle, you have filled it with a digital paper. Let's save it. Okay, so to save it, you need to make sure it fits within your white paper background here. Okay. Now, with it selected, come to File, Export. And it's going to pull up this export menu for you. And we're just exporting a single image. We're going to only export the selection and hit Export Selected Only. What you see in here is all that will export if you have done this correctly. So hit Selection, Export Selection Only, and let's decide where to put this file. I'm going to put it on my desktop, and I'm going to name it Final Doodle. And I'll hit Save. And this is all fine. It's asking you what color compressions and everything you want. It's going to do it in standard formatting, and just leave it in standard formatting. Unless you know what you're working with here, then you can change it. Okay, let's go see it. There's our final doodle, guys. You just filled your doodle letters with a pattern using Inkscape and digital paper. Now, let me show you where I got this digital paper and how you can get it for just $1. It's Creative Fabrica, surprise, surprise. So if you click my link, and this is the only way that you're going to get this membership for $1 for your first month. If you just go to Creative Fabrica, you won't be able to get it for $1. Click my link and it will take you here. Now, this is a little bit intimidating because it's like, hey, do this in the first 23 hours, and you can't really see anything other than all the different things that you're going to get from Creative Fabrica, which is fabulous to begin with. You're going to get so much. You get access to everything Creative Fabrica has to offer, and you're going to get it for $1 for your first month. And then it's $19 a month after that, which it's normally $29. So this is a really good deal. But I know you can't see, you kind of want to browse around before you buy something, right? Okay, come up here and click Creative Fabrica. And then it's going to take you into the actual website where you can browse around and you can look at all the different things that they have. So what you're going to want to do is type in whatever kind of digital paper you want. For this one, I went with a boho digital paper. But let's say we want Halloween. You want to make the word boo. You want Halloween digital letters. Type in, or you want Halloween doodle letters. Type in Halloween digital paper. And it's going to start to pull up a ton of stuff. But we can take this down even further because, I mean, look, it pulled in over 12,000 graphics. Let's not do that. Come down to patterns, and it's going to knock it down to only 1,800 only. And then you can scroll through from there and pick the perfect digital papers for your letters. Something I will tell you to kind of shy away from is anything that has a ton of white. Like this pack right here. This is a really cool pack, actually. Oh, I think I like these. Yeah. Oh, look, guys, this would be great. You put these together down here. You're going to have some really, really cute Halloween digital letters. Halloween doodle letters. I don't know why I keep calling them digital letters. Anyways, when you are making your doodle letters, stay away from the ones that have these big white backgrounds because it's not enough contrast in your letter. You want something with a lot of color. So you would come in here, and after you have your subscription, after you've paid the $1 for your first month, you'll click download, and I'm going to do that because I like these. And it's going to put it on your computer wherever you've told your downloads to go. And that's how you'll get your digital papers. All right, guys, that is all I have for this tutorial. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.